the board chair in me wants to get started, but of course, as people wander in, there'll be lots of opportunities to engage in the process. So I'm Abigail Campbell. I need to call the meeting to order because we are a quorum of the school board. So this is an official meeting of the school board. I'd like to make a motion that we begin the meeting at 6:01. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. I have, all of our school directors are here this evening. Maybe I'll just quickly, we have Peter Van Straten, who's our vice chair, Colleen Morris, who serves as our finance chair. So thank you for all of your hard work as we move forward and the work you've done to help get us this far. Although there's a participation of all the board members as part of that process for sure. Tom Huntington, our longest member of the board and a very important part of our the work that we've been doing. And Eileen Dickinson, who serves in many capacities for us as our time on the board and is our second longest serving member of the board and has done a lot for us. And she serves as the head of our policy committee, or as part of our policy committee. I'm Abigail Campbell, I'm the board chair. I think most people have probably heard a lot from me at this point, but I am a mom of 3 little boys, raising them here in St. Johnsbury. I'm a native. I grew up here. I enticed an Iowa native to come to St. Johnsbury. We bought a house, we fixed it up, started a business, and here we are, trying to educate our kids and be part of this process. And I just really quickly wanted to just give you a couple thoughts as we begin. And then I'm going to pass it over to Karen, who will take the bulk of this meeting. So long ago, I'll just leave it ambiguous. Somebody had the opportunity to sit down with somebody. It's a pretty influential guy. And one of the things I took away with that was I had to be a value investor. It's like the one economic principle that that and opportunity cost, which I had remembered from my econ classes in college. And so I'm really glad you're here, right? Because you got to know what you're investing in. And I'm glad to have people as part of this process because I think it's really important to be a value investor and to know where this is all going. So thank you. And this is the beginning of a long process. So please stay engaged and bring a friend. Next time, we have good snacks. We're lucky enough to still have an in-house food service here in our school, and we're really proud of that, and that really allows us to engage further in our community and really build partnerships, as well as have direct control of what our kids eat, which is really important. I wanted to start with a couple of highlights. I'm a positive girl. I tend to err on the side of positive when possible, and so I hope that you got a chance to see the playground on the way in, and that is federal funds that did not come out of our local budget. It's a once-in-a-lifetime, really, opportunity. And what we, as a community, came together and realized was our kids were struggling, but they did better when they were outside. They had better when they had access to fresh air and sunshine and room. They had been so cooped up for so long, they needed space to move their bodies safely. And so I'm really proud of what we've done. And we looked at it as truly a community school serving a pre-K through high school, but in this building, 8th grade. So there's places for our middle school students who need spaces to hang that's appropriate for them, and our little kids needed spaces that were appropriate for them as well. And so I'm really proud of what we've been able to do. I'm also kind of nerdy on the engineering front. We did a ton of work around our drainage and our infrastructure. We fixed rotten stairs. We put in massive amounts of drainage under this beautiful playground so it doesn't wash into the river in a few years in our next challenge from a weather perspective. So I'm really proud of that, and I hope that the town of St. Johnsbury is as well. The other thing that I'm excited about, and something that makes St. Johnsbury unique in our region, is that we have growing enrollment. We have about, the numbers that we're looking at is about a 6% increased enrollment in our district. The surrounding small towns are seeing a decreased enrollment in their districts. And so that has a budgetary impact. And that also is a great economic and kind of indicator that you can take about the health of this community. That for me, raising 3 little boys here, needs a great community I'm really excited about. And I know it's hard to see our town change, but I do see a growing housing basis as well, because we have to grow the grand list. Like, we know that St. Johnsbury taxpayers are being asked to fund a bill that's too much for them. And so we got to grow the grand list. And so these housing projects that we're going to see coming online in the next few years are going to change our town in a lot of ways. But one of the things it's going to do is grow our grand list and allow for that tax burden to be dispersed over a greater amount of taxpayers. And I think that that's just another sort of part of this, that we're like, this growing pain, this sort of in-between period is really tough. The state is looking at us and saying, you're growing. Your houses are growing, and that's why we got such a common level of appraisal readjustment on our tax bills that had a pretty significant effect for those who pay that way. So those are the good things. And Karen's going to share, some of the challenges. Sorry, but she gets to do a lot of the fun stuff and hang out with kids more than I do. Other people's kids. I get to hang out with mine just enough. So those are the good things that I see and the opportunities. The last thing I really want to share, and I'm going to pass it over to Karen because I've already taken more time than I had sort of anticipated, was that, as a school board, we have a pretty limited scope. We really should, right? We're supposed to let Karen do her job. We evaluate her. That's our job. And so the other thing we have to do, though, is evaluate ourselves. How are we doing? How do we function? And what goals are we setting for ourselves as part of this process? And we set 2 goals for ourselves, and I want to share those with the community. The first is that we pass the budget on the first try. I'm an opportunity cost, right? Go back to that economic theory. We could have done a lot with all of that energy. The amount of I'm just going to leave it there, right? We all know what it cost us to get the budget passed, and it was not, we could have done a lot of other cool things, all of us, with that energy. And the second was that we're going to be paying attention and we're going to be advocating on a statewide level, because ultimately your tax bills are highly influenced on a statewide level, almost much more than the decisions we make as a district, because of the way that we fund education in Vermont. So we're going to pay attention. We want to be part of the process. There's some great different groups. Karen and I will be meeting next week as part of the Vermont School Board Association and the Vermont Principals Association to start to just pay attention, discussions with the AOE. I mean, there's just a lot coming down the pipeline, and we as a board are committed to kind of just paying attention to that process. Last thing, I promise. I already took too much more time than I wanted. The last is that I just really want to highlight, and it kind of comes back to me maybe to the playground. We're a community school. We're the hub of our community. At this point, we don't have a recreation center. This is where our community comes together, and we're very committed to continuing that and to continue to foster it. And it starts with making sure our staff are taking care of themselves so they can take care of our students. And the economic brain of me too goes to okay, that means our healthcare costs come down. I think that there's a reason why all of these PATH programs and stuff exist. It's because it works. And so I'm really excited for what I see in terms of what our school's doing to take care of our teachers and our staff, because they really are the heart. We have to start there. And then what we can do to be the heart of our community. If we can take care of them, how can we as a school take care of our community in ways in which it deserves? So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to pass it over to Karen.
Thank you, Abby. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Karen Conroy, and I'm the superintendent here in St. Johnsbury. This is my third year of working in this community, and I'm very proud to be up here representing the school district. And I quite often brag about with my peers about the wonderful things that we are doing in this community for our students. So I'm extremely proud. This evening, I have a few items. I wish I had a budget to present. I'm not going to be presenting some numbers, but I am going to share with you just a little bit about our school profile, our budget development process, and our timeline, so you understand the process that we're going through, and some of the things that we do know with our budget outlook. And I was hoping we'd have more people, but I do want to get feedback from you, so we definitely will have a public session, and we do have some surveys out there that you can actually provide written feedback as well. So the profile of the St. Johnsbury School District, and I really want to stress upon the school district because I found that a lot of people think about our school district as just a school. But we're much larger than that. We do support kids pre-K through 12. There's a number, we're up to 85 students that attend our universal pre-K programs and our independent programs in the community. There's about 10, right now we're about 7 to 8 licensed providers, but we serve students in about 10 pre-K programs in our community. We, of course, have our school here, which is pre-K through 8. We have about 620 students right now that attend this school. Additional students that are attending therapeutic programs and other out-of-district programs. But we also serve the high school students in this community, and they still have a choice with attending one of the traditional independent schools. Most of our kids go to St. Johnsbury Academy, but we do have students that attend Linden Institute, Arlington, and their school of choice based on the laws that we function under. So I do want to just mention that we do have over 1,000 students that we support. And when we look at a budget and our expenditures, it supports all of those students. It's just not the school. The vision of our district is every St. Johnsbury student will follow their unique pathway to become a respectful, caring, and lifelong learner who positively contributes to the global community. Our vision and our mission is what we focus on, and we also have strategic goals that we follow along. We're on our third year of our strategic plan, and goal number 4 of our strategic plan is to develop a fiscally responsible, student-centered budget that reflects the priorities of the community and its children. So that's where we put our focus. But at the forefront, it's always around the core needs of our students. Really, when we're doing a budget development, it's focused on our students. And at every stage of the development process, we prioritize programs, resources, services that directly impact students in our community. And this makes sure that we have budget allocations that reflect the essential academic, social, emotional, and wellness needs of our students, supporting their learning and their growth. So this is, when we're developing a budget, this is one of the priorities that we're student-centered. We do make data-driven decisions. This is important where we analyze student data to identify areas that require additional support and resources, whether it's our classroom sizes or do we need technology, is it mental health services or extracurricular activities. Each of these decisions stems from a commitment of student success and ensuring that they have fair access to opportunities. Again, I mentioned strategic goal number 4, but we do have strategic goals that we align all of our decisions and our budget development on as well. Our goals are our guide, ensuring that the resources are aligned with our long-term vision for student achievement, and we ensure that the budget supports these initiatives that lead to improved academic outcomes. And we've done a lot of work with our teachers in our professional development around universal design for learning, empowering students with voices and choices. We're giving choices for our middle school, and really trying to create an inclusive and supportive school culture. And collaboration with the school community. This is why we're here this evening. It is very important that we understand the needs of our students, and this is done through active collaboration with teachers, parents, and community members. Your input to our budget development helps us maintain an approach that reflects the true needs of our student body. So your community engagement in this process ensures transparency and shared responsibility in our decision making. This is what we hope to achieve, and really is, again, the forefront of our budget development when we really look at our immediate and long-term improvements that we have in the quality of our education, making sure that our students have the support and resources that they need. So this is kind of a timeline, and it's a really busy slide, but this is basically our process. Our budget, our process starts in July. We start talking about it in the summer, where we look at our enrollment, staffing projections, and we discuss potential changes to programming. And we're doing that right up to now in mid-month through the end of this month. School leaders will work with the Director of Finance to capture any anticipated programming changes in the upcoming budget, and we will plan to have a first draft of our district budget completed by the end of November, and we will present that to our Finance Committee for discussion. Then in December, we have a draft budget that's presented to the school board after recommendations from the Finance Committee, and then our finalized district budget for the board will be presented in January for their approval. And we have the specific timeline based on our regulations to be able to warn it properly, to get information in our town reports timely, and to meet the requirements for town meeting day on March 4th. So through this process, we've already started engaging conversations with our staff. We've asked for feedback. We've received feedback from them. They have the students in their classrooms. They know their students best and the needs of their students, so they've given us feedback. We're holding community forums like this evening, hoping to explain the process and answer any questions we may have, and actually just listen to you and your input. And we also want to engage with other key stakeholders. We'll continue to survey our parents, our students. We'll be asking our students. We have connections with our parent-teacher organization. They were gracious enough this evening to offer childcare for us this evening, if there were any. And we're focused on engaging with you in the community and ongoing stakeholder engagement. And I will continue to share highlights from our proposed budget, and we submit to this is in January, we submit to the board for approval. And so we are here this evening because we learned a lot from last year. I think we really pulled together as a community in the second and third votes, and wish we had done a lot of things differently. So we're trying to be proactive this time and take these lessons learned by doing these following items. So we're promoting community engagement. We'll be hosting forums and events like this, seeking feedback regularly to understand the needs and priorities of our community. We want to make sure we're increasing transparency. That was a word that was used often last year during the budget season. We want to make sure we share information and updates openly with stakeholders. We'll be doing that on our website. And we'll use clear, accessible language in all of our communications to make sure that you understand the budget process. We will enhance our communication efforts. We've already done so starting this year. We've increased our Facebook. We've created a district Facebook page. We've been sending out quarterly district newsletters to all of our families and our parents. And we've created a dedicated space on our website for budget-related information and updates. And this will include, like, when a question comes in, a great question, we can put FAQs out on our website so people can go and look at it regularly for information as soon as it comes in. And we want to provide more methods of involvement for our stakeholders. Again, we have like online surveys we put out there, and we're going to host community workshops to discuss budget priorities and gather feedback. So as of now, we don't have a lot to share, but we can share what little information we know so far with our budget outlook. We do know that our state bargained health insurance premiums are expected to rise by double digits. So it's 19 to 22% for next year. We did just recently learn that some of our other benefits outside of the health insurance premiums are coming in a little bit lower, but this is the most significant cost that we see with the health insurance premiums. This changed a couple years ago. It used to be part of our negotiations with our unions, but now it's negotiated at a state level for all schools. We did have a negotiated agreement that passed last year. This will be our second year of that agreement, so we do know the results of that negotiated agreement. And so our base pay increases for a paraprofessional is going from $17.15 an hour to $18.61 an hour. Based on the negotiated agreement. And salaries for our teachers who work 186 days is $45,745 is the current pay for a base level teacher, is going up to $47,305. So we will see increases on those base salary rates and on our negotiated agreements, and also we're anticipating the health insurance premiums to go up. That is basically all I have for information that is known of. So much of it does not come out till later. We are pulling together what that salary will be for an impact on our budget, but right now we're still working on our ratios for our classroom ratios and the staff needs, and until we identify the needs based on our student needs, we can't calculate those numbers as of yet. But we do hope that you partake in ways to participate in these conversations. I will share a QR code, and you can also access it on our website to provide input in a survey. We would like you to engage with us to share your thoughts and priorities. We have regular board meetings. We'll start meeting twice a month. We have committee meetings that meet. Finance committee meeting will meet on a regular basis as we start diving into budgets, but even our building committee also meets on a regular basis, which would be great for you to hear about facility needs as well. And we will be continuing to hold community forums like this one. And your support is very essential for us being successful. So these are some of the dates that we have currently scheduled for upcoming opportunities to connect with us. The board meetings, we have one on Monday. They're 6 p.m. They're held right here in the music room. And then the next two in November. The dates are November 4th and November 18th. This is the QR code if you wanted to take the time to do a survey and provide us some feedback. It's also found on our website. And then our next Finance Committee meetings right now are scheduled for November 4th and December 9th. They're at 8 o'clock in the morning at the district office located on Railroad Street. My guess we'll have a few more of those Finance Committee meetings as soon as we come out with a draft for the board to share. And again, your input and participation in this process is really essential. We were going to do some breakout sessions, but I think we're a small enough group that I would be more than happy to let people speak, share anything they would like. Again, the survey is available too if you'd like to send us something later on if you'd like to type something up. But I'll open the floor up.
It would be great if you would, like, just to identify, yeah, you were going to the microphone. Great. Yeah. Sure.
Everybody can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, God. So I'm Scott Campbell. Just wondering what the impact of the CLA would be next year. I mean, in broad strokes. We had a big impact this year, right? That was, as I understand it, a big driver of the 25% rate increase. So anything you can say about that?
Yeah, the CLA is not part of the education portion. I know that's how you get taxed. I don't know. Let's see, Jacob, do you have any insight on that?
We won't have official numbers until the December letter from the state for the property assessment for the towns. So sadly, there's not much we can provide for that.
So you have no reading on that at all?
No.
Yeah, sadly, not really. It's all calculated at the state level, and they really haven't given us any insight yet for if they anticipate similar across the state or not.
I would be interested to see if maybe some of our friends, statewide friends, could help us understand how sort of deviation from the norm we are at. I think it was 72.8 last year.
I could also speak on that.
Yeah, like how, like, are we, did we hit our?
This is Jacob Wood. He is our Director of Finance here.
Hi, everybody. So the CLA this past year was pretty poor throughout the entirety of the state. I think the average CLA, when I did the numbers, was around 84% throughout the state. And we were on the lowest end of that with a 72% CLA. For those who are not familiar with what the CLA is, every year towns get their property taxes assessed, their property values assessed, and because the state wants to make sure that everyone's getting taxed the same throughout the region, they will calculate this number of the CLA, which is comparing your current tax assessed value to the property sales in the town itself. So because during COVID there was a boom in property sales, as we're all aware of how hard it was to, if you were looking to purchase a property during that time, properties were selling for really high, so your tax assessed value was below the market value. And Sadly, it happened throughout the state. The only thing that's changed this year, it won't affect the actual bottom line tax rate, but the state did put through legislation where instead of it affecting the CLA, it'll be affecting the property yield. But what I'd say though is not to be too concerned about that, just because it overall creates the same tax rate regardless. But sadly, until the people in the state do the necessary calculations, we don't know. I'd be surprised if it goes significantly lower, just because the way that it works is it's a 3-year average of property sales. So this was 3 years of really high selling values for houses. We've hit the 3 major years of COVID, so I would be surprised if it drops even like significantly lower, because last year it dropped about 16% for us, which was quite high. But I do not see it going up outside of the legislation that brings the property yield down. I hope that helps explain it.
Thank you.
Learned this thing in education, it's called the pause. Yeah, you gotta have to do your
So when we vote a budget here, it doesn't matter what the tax is. My vote here isn't going to mean anything, because it's not going to lower it if I lower your budget and stuff there. We used to vote on the budget right here and cut things out on a Monday night, and that budget was set in stone, and we had better tax rates than you do now and stuff. Now you blame the state for it, and the state says, well, it's our fault for selling houses for more than they're worth, and most of the time it's an out-of-stater buying it, and they could care less how much it costs. They open up an Airbnb and stuff. I see it on my street and stuff there. They fought over buying a piece of crap house and stuff there. They put a little money into it. Now strangers come up there all the time and stuff there. And I don't know why they base it on this whole thing. I mean, what does my vote really count for when I get a budget here and stuff there? I have to count on Scott to hash it out over there, and it never seems to happen in a better way. It always happens to go up. And I know a lot of people that I talk to, they can't afford to live here anymore. I've lived here all my life and stuff. They're all 40 in my adult life. And I want to retire. I'm 70 years old now, and I hope to do it before I'm 80 and stuff. I'll catch up with you and stuff there. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I have to work till I drop and stuff there. A lot of people here, they're going to retire and stuff there. They're making money here and getting good pensions from the state and from the school and things there. They're going to have it great and stuff. And they're going to move out anyway, because they're not going to afford a tax either. It's about time we started looking at, doing something different than the way you're doing it now, because it used to be a lot better. It was simpler. We voted here, we cut down, we went through your budget and said, oh, wait a minute, you can't do that. We're going to cut that out of your budget here and stuff there. We didn't cut the students out for education. We cut out pet projects that somebody wants to do, and you still are doing them. I see a lot of stuff here that could be cut out. I think your superintendent's office should be in this school, not paying rent down there and stuff there. And they've moved how many times? And there's a lot of other things that I hear, but I'm not going to go over them with you right now and stuff. Go ahead. Did you pass out bonuses this year?
Did we pass out
Bonuses for the teachers or the staff? Did they get it? Have they gotten them this year?
We don't give bonuses.
So just to be clear, under a different school administration.
Well, this is what the story I hear. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm asking you.
I'd love to tell you the story. Can I tell you?
Okay.
Okay. So under a different administration, not Karen, there was a decision made by a different superintendent to use expiring ESSER funds to give a bonus.
Yeah.
That was a decision the school board, frankly,
Okay.
was not pleased by. Here we are today. That decision has not been replicated.
Okay,
I don't believe that decision will be replicated.
okay.
And that's what we've learned.
That's why I'm asking you. Stories hand out, and I'd like to know.
That's why
And
we're
stuff
here.
there.
This is great.
And why does the finance committee and stuff have their meetings at 8 a.m. in the morning? Most people have to go to work. They can't attend your meetings.
Okay, so totally, that's really understandable. So we have, as a school board, so I'm the school board director, so we have our Monday night meetings, which are after hours, so those are at 6 p.m. So those are an opportunity. So we're there, you can come talk to us, and we'll discuss the budget. The part of the reason why is because we have, frankly, many of us have kids at home, and we gotta be there, we give that, so we have time that we do kind of on a regular basis, at times when we're committed to probably being there for our families, so the amount of times we can be there in the evenings is limited, because we all have to make decisions about how to spend our time. So we're here tonight, we have our meetings. The 8 a.m. meetings also allow us to meet with our professional staff that don't keep their days really long. So eight is a common, easily available time for that group of people that meet. So that's what we do, but it's not the only opportunity. And there is a Zoom link for people who would like to join remotely. You don't have to come to the building. And
So the same thing is discussed at the school board meetings. If you go to those,
well, it's more detailed, because the school board meetings are a lot of me regurgitating information, honestly, and we do have a lot of discussion, and it's an opportunity for the public to share. But when we meet as a finance committee, we have our professional staff, and so it's a much more of like a process meeting rather than an informational meeting. And our school board meetings are also process driven, but they have a different purpose.
but if you wanted to have any input in the finance committee, you'd have to be there at 8 a.m.
That's one opportunity. The other thing I'll share with you is an idea we've been percolating that we haven't put it on paper yet, but it's a commitment we've made as part of one of our public forums, is to have a public meeting. We can commit, I think, to do it in the evening, where we're going to go as close as we can to a line by line.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through it publicly, and anybody who wants to join us in the room, there's a little sort of thing where there will be an opportunity for public input. I don't know how I'm gonna structure it so we can get through it, but we'll work on that, but we're gonna provide those opportunities, because we don't want us to be trying to hash this out on Facebook, right? Like, that's not how we solve problems. We
No,
solve
I don't do
problems
Facebook, so.
sitting in a room together and looking at real numbers and real facts. And so let's do it.
And where do the 85 students in the universal pre-K go? Where do you send them? They're not here?
Do you want to do the
They don't go here, they go to some of our independent pre-Ks in the community.
So how many go
We
here?
do have 3 classrooms of pre-K students in
Yeah.
our building.
You said 85 of them go somewhere else.
Yep, so they have options, they call it universal pre-K. We pay for the
Can I
school
give you some
district.
examples, because I think it'll help. ABC LOL is one of them. Little Dippers, right, would be one of them. Balch Nature School at the Fairbanks Museum is one of them. And we only pick up a certain amount. It's the state deciding.
Well, these daycares are getting big here and stuff there. I mean, they're buying up property better than most people could ever do and stuff there.
Yep.
The need is really great.
It's universal pre-K that's a state level decision that requires us to pay for 10 hours of daycare.
Of
Pre-K,
Not
preschool.
daycare, it's preschool.
Preschool.
Yeah. All right, what's next? I'm ready. We're ready.
And when the draft budget's done in December, is the public going to be there? Or is that something just at the school board meeting? The public isn't invited to hear the draft or come to it?
Oh, yes, all those are public meetings. Yep.
So we will have our finance meeting, which I hear you. Well, I can't offer you another alternative right now, but we'll have our school board meetings in December, so those will be Monday nights. And then we'll see where, we are committed to do public forums. Schedules are a little funky, but we will provide more of these, because again, we want to have these discussions. This is great. We really appreciate you being here.
Because, it's to know what you're actually spending the money on.
Absolutely.
A lot of times, we don't even know what you spent it on. It's a number now. people vote for stuff. Some people just give up after the second vote, the drop. They say, well, I don't want it to go any further. And you don't drop very much and stuff. So, and then they just vote on it. Or, you know, you get the parents all riled up and they come in voting because, oh, they're afraid their kids aren't going to get educated. Well, they get educated by the teachers and stuff there, and not by any fancy stuff you do. So, well, that's my questions when I saw up there.
All right. Will you come back and ask more?
I would like to comment, though, with the struggle of our common level of appraisal going up, our taxes going up, it is difficult because it is a state-funded system, right? We're supporting all kids in the state of Vermont. And I know the superintendents are meeting regularly because this is an issue in everyone's community. And we can only solve this if we all work together. So I can tell you, Jacob and I spent 2 days with all the other state superintendents and business managers talking about how we can be very strategic, looking at our budgets, looking at our class ratios, really looking on the needs of our students, and really trying to tighten up our budgets, because we could cut millions. It's not going to impact you because everyone has to do the same. So these conversations are taking place, and some serious conversations statewide to try to have an impact on all of our communities.
So that makes me want to ask you about the Commission on the Future Public Education. I think we only met a couple of times or something, is that right? Anyway, can you talk about that at all, what your impressions of it?
Yep, so there was we have a group of representatives, I think there might be 13 on the committee, from the Agency of Ed to superintendents to representatives from the business, Vermont Business Association, and they've been charged with a large task to look at the future of education in Vermont is what they're doing. And I believe they have a goal set to come up with some short-term strategies that are potential cost savings by December. And they've been doing what's called listen and learn tours right now as part of the new interim Secretary of Education. They're starting to collect information. I hosted the Northeast Region Listen and Learn Tour right here in St. Johnsbury, and we were able to participate in conversations like this evening and ask, give feedback, and have difficult conversations, expressing the needs that we're seeing in our students, some needs that aren't even related to education, you know, around mental health. And the services that we need to be able to provide, and we're required to provide, so that students can get to a place where we can educate them. But they're collecting information from all of our communities, and again, they're supposed to come back. I think it's another year they have to come up with a formal report, but they are slated to have some feedback by December. And they're doing statewide.
Hi, I'm Willie Nickerson. I live here. Some kids that go to school here. One of the things you were just talking about, I just had a question, so I thought I'd ask. You said we could cut millions and we won't see it from our tax increase, and that made me think, like, you actually did cut millions from the budget last year, and do we have any sense of if the first budget, which was like, I forget, I don't remember all the details, like $1.5 million or something more than what was passed, if that budget had passed, do we know what the tax rate increase would have been on us in the town? Can we say, like, oh, that $1.5 million was 0.5% or 10%? Like, do we have any idea of how that change might have impacted us?
We had like 5 different budgets, so.
So the tough horseshoe with that one is when I calculated that property tax increase, it was at a different property yield, and And every time this, and because it wasn't just our budget, over a third of the budgets in the state had dwindled, had to cut after their first round. So the property yield went up because of it. If I had to make a guess, it would have probably the ending property tax rate, so after the yield and the CLA, probably would have been 6% higher, would be my guess. Again, it's not as big of an effect from the decrease on the budget as it is to it, because about, when I did the numbers, it was about every $1 we cut from our budget, only about 19 cents of that showed up on the St. Johnsbury tax bill, just because of the way that the state funding system worked. So it's a bit complicated. I know I could calculate it out now using that number, but because of where the property yield has changed, I can't say for certain of where it would have been. I think it would be about a 6% higher number than it is right now.
That seems fairly significant. So,
Oh yeah, again, it is still have an effect. It gets multiplied because of the CLA, the actual effect on the rate itself. But yeah, the 19 cents still is impacting the tax rate. So it's just not as big of a percentage as it would be if it wasn't the state-funded system.
Okay. So does that mean, is what you're saying, that instead of 25% on the rate, it would have been 31% on the rate?
That's what I'm guessing.
Okay,
If
okay.
we had that first.
I just want to make
budget.
sure I understand what percentage you're meaning. But, okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Yeah. But I wouldn't know for sure unless I went back.
So
and then
maybe
changed
4 or
out the
5 or
property.
6 or something anyway. It is significant though.
Yes, it is.
Okay. It's time to send people home.
Fairly new here.
Here you go, sir.
My name's Brian Aber, fairly new to the community, and my wife and I actually bought a house here specifically because we like the town or the city, but specifically for the school. It's an excellent school. And I just want to thank you all for the work that you're doing. It's obviously thankless work. I don't envy you. But the thing I wanted to maybe inspire you with, I travel all throughout Caledonia County all the time, the small communities. And I can tell you far and away, the feedback I get when I tell people I live in St. Johnsbury is just positive about this school. This school. People say, wow, you are lucky. People actually say that. They say that. You are lucky that you get to send your kids to school there. I'm not making it up. I'm not kidding. And then they say, how can I send my kids to school there? And I say, buy a house. Come and join the tax base. But I do. I never get a negative comment about it at all. And then the last thing I would say is that, you know, I've had some experience with school boards and taxes and budgets. And really, the school is the heart of any community, to me. It really is. That's what makes people come here, is the school. That's what makes people buy houses here and stay here. And so investing in the school is probably the most important way, not just in St. Johnsbury, but any community in the state of Vermont, to invest in your community. Me personally, I don't care about the school budget. I don't care how much the school budget is. We're going to pay taxes. Taxes are going to go up every single year. It's a fact of life. So as long as you are doing excellent programs for our kids, and you're not, the money's not flying out the door, okay? You're not spending it on frivolous things. I truly don't care. That's my personal view. I know there's people here that are bristle at that comment, but I don't care. Just keep doing the great work that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we can end on that positive note.
You can pay me out.
Okay.
And this is just the beginning. We're gonna continue this process. I think we had some good shared information. I think that we've trust built on, shared information, shared conversations. I hope that we gained a little bit of trust tonight, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you, Karen, for your work getting us this far. And thank you to the school board, thank you to the administration team, and all of the people who came. Again, I really appreciate it. Somebody who feels like they got a real hat in this ring.
Thank you.